Welcome to the Velvet Ink Stories, where adventure and unforgettable stories unfold. In today's video, we're diving deep into a tale of survival, memory, and family, echoes in the snow. Join retired mountaineer Arav Thorne as he uncovers long-lost memories and embarks on a journey to find a child and the mythical snow leopard that saved his life. From breathtaking landscapes to heart-stopping moments, this emotional adventure will leave you questioning the bonds we share with nature. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a powerful story like this one. Arav Thorne's hands were no longer steady. His fingers trembled as he crouched beside the half-buried backpack in the snow, the cold air biting at his exposed skin. It had been years since he had stepped onto these mountains. Years since the climb had been part of his life. Now it felt more like a distant memory, a part of himself that had long been buried beneath layers of time and hardship. The bag was buried in a shallow drift, almost as if it had been waiting for him. He knelt down, brushing away the snow, the weight of the years pressing on his chest. The snowstorm that had blown in hours ago had thickened, the wind howling through the cliffs. But the discovery felt urgent, like it had been meant to happen. Like the mountains were calling to him once again. He unzipped the bag with a stiff hand and peered inside. At first, there was nothing remarkable. Just the usual detritus of an old mountaineering expedition. A weathered map, a thermos long emptied of warmth, and a journal covered in faded writing. But beneath them was something that caught his breath. A camera. It was old, its metal worn with age, but it felt significant, as though it carried more weight than its size would suggest. Arav picked it up carefully, the cold of the metal seeping into his skin. He flipped the camera over, and a small, barely readable inscription scratched into the back caught his eye. Tenzin, 2007. His heart skipped a beat. Tenzin. He hadn't thought of the boy in over a decade. The child who had saved his life. The child who had disappeared into the snow, vanishing as mysteriously as he had appeared. Arav's breath caught in his throat. How had this camera ended up here, buried in the snow, so far from where he remembered leaving it? And what had become of Tenzin? What had happened to the snow leopard that had been with him that fateful day? The answer felt just out of reach, like a whisper carried by the wind. Arav shoved the camera into his jacket pocket, his mind racing. The storm howled around him, but he was no longer thinking of the cold or the snow. He was thinking of Tenzin, and of the creature that had saved his life. Days later, Arav found himself back at his small cabin, the camera in his hands. The storm had passed, but it left a lingering chill in the air, as though the mountains themselves had wanted to remind him of the time that had passed and the things he had buried. He set the camera on his old wooden desk and sat down, his fingers stiff as he tried to steady himself. The photos were yellowed, the edges frayed with time. But as he clicked through them, memories came rushing back. The narrow cliffside path, the sound of the wind, the blizzard that had come out of nowhere. And then, the flash of movement. Tenzin, a small child with eyes full of courage, and the snow leopard that had emerged from the storm. A creature as wild and powerful as the mountains themselves. The photos revealed a story he had forgotten. Tenzin standing beside the leopard, both of them facing the camera with a solemnity that Araf couldn't quite place. In one, Tenzin was reaching out, his small hand brushing against the snow leopard's fur, as though they shared some unspoken bond. In another, the boy and the leopard were walking together through the snow, disappearing into the mist. Arav's hand shook as he turned the last photo. There, in the background, was the same ridge where he had nearly fallen to his death. The snow leopard had saved him that day, pulling him out of a crevasse with its powerful jaws. Its eyes locked onto his with a kind of understanding that no human could offer. And then there was Tenzin, standing beside the beast, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The photo stirred something in Arav, something deep and buried. He had always believed that the events of that day were just another chapter in his long, storied career as a mountaineer. But now, holding the camera in his hands, everything felt unfinished. He had left the mountains behind, but they had not left him. He had to find them. He had to find Tenzin, and he had to find the snow leopard. The journey back to the mountains was a long one. Arav was no longer the young, daring mountaineer he had been, but the desire to unravel the mystery of that day burned within him. The snow had settled, and the peaks rose like ghosts in the distance, their jagged outlines etched against the pale sky. He knew the terrain well. He had walked these paths, climbed these peaks, but now they felt different, more ominous, as though the mountains were holding something back, something that had eluded him for years. His steps crunched in the fresh snow, his breath shallow, as he navigated the same ridge where Tenzin and the snow leopard had appeared that fateful day. It had taken him days to find the old trail again, the one that led to the cliffside where they had fought the blizzard together. The path was familiar, but it had changed. Nature had a way of reclaiming what humans had once altered. The trees were older, the rocks weathered by time, but the stillness of the place had not changed. And then he saw it. A flash of movement, a shadow in the snow, fleeting but unmistakable. Arav froze, his heart pounding in his chest. He had seen that creature before. The snow leopard. It moved through the snow with an elegance that was almost otherworldly. Its coat a patchwork of white and grey, blending perfectly with the mountain. It paused for a moment, its piercing eyes locking onto Arav's. For a long moment, neither of them moved. Then, with a soft sound, the snow leopard turned and began to walk away, its tail flicking behind it like a banner in the wind. Arav swallowed hard. He had to follow. There were too many questions left unanswered. The journey to find Tenzin took him deeper into the mountains, through forests of thick pine and over frozen rivers, each step drawing him closer to a truth that felt both impossible and inevitable. The snow leopard had led him on a winding path, always keeping its distance, always just out of reach, like a ghost of the past. But Arav knew now that he was on the right trail. He was getting closer. Finally, after days of travel, he came across a small weathered cabin nestled against the mountain. The windows were frosted, the door slightly ajar, and there, standing in the doorway, was a man, tall, rugged, his face weathered by time, but unmistakable. Tenzin, the child he had once known, the boy who had saved his life, now a grown man. His eyes, still sharp and full of fire, locked onto Arav's, and for a moment there was no need for words. They simply stood there, two men bound by the mountain, by the snow, and by the memory of something that had never truly been forgotten. I knew you would come, Tenzin said quietly, his voice carrying the weight of years. Arav didn't know what to say. His heart was heavy, full of questions, full of answers he wasn't sure he was ready to hear. But the snow leopard, standing just behind Tenzin, looked at him with a quiet understanding, its golden eyes shimmering in the dim light. The reunion was not filled with dramatic words or grand gestures. It was quiet, simple, and full of unspoken understanding. Tenzin explained how he had lived the mountains after the incident, how he and the snow leopard had forged a bond that went beyond the physical world, how they had shared the wilderness, surviving together in the harsh beauty of the landscape. The snow leopard had not been a mythical creature, as Arav had once thought, but a survivor just like them. It had been part of the wild, the mountains, for as long as Tenzin could remember. And in that moment, Arav realized that the answers he had been searching for were not found in the past, in the frozen images of memory, but in the journey he had taken to find them. As the snow leopard padded silently across the snow, its coat gleaming in the fading light, Arav felt a sense of peace. The mountains had given him a second chance, a chance to find what he had lost. And in that quiet, snow-filled world, surrounded by memories of a past long buried, Arav Thorn found his home again. Thank you for watching Echoes in the Snow. If that story of survival, memory, and the mystical bond between humans and animals touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with your friends. Subscribe to channel name for more powerful stories like this one, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss our latest videos. Have a story you'd like us to cover? Drop a comment below. Until next time, stay inspired and keep exploring the wild wonders of life.